Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Welcome. This is for your week 6 for English. English, yes, English. This week we are going to go over our lesson about writing claim statements. This week you're going to have two things due for me: your daily writing, which is just going to be two writings, an IW and a daily writing number 1. I'll even pull that up real quick. It's this one right here. This is what yours will look like. I gave you the instructions, but your IW, I want you guys to just write 11 lines of a story. It's free, right? You can do whatever you feel like, but the thing that I'm grading, the thing that I'm checking for is using your proper grammar. You don't have to highlight any sentences, nothing like that. I just want you to check for your spelling, check for your punctuation. This is a big one. This is just me looking at, can you go back and evaluate yourself and say, is this written correctly? Do I have enough periods or commas? Hint, hint. If the word is underlined like in red or blue, that means there's probably a problem. So go back and look at it. The computer even helps you out on this. Your second one is just the daily writing number 1. There is no number 2 this week. You're going to write an ACE paragraph about this question that I give you below here. You need to watch this video. So if you're looking at this already and you're reading this paragraph, it even says, watch the video lesson before you attempt, or this will be really hard. Answer the claim, cite your example, and explain your example that supports your answer. My question is this: should school only be 4 days a week? And I just want you to guys start writing down here. Just answer the question for me. Why do you think? Yes or no, do you think it should? Why? Give me evidence or a reason for it, and then explain that to me. It's just 3 simple sentences. And after you do the other work this week, this will be super easy to do. The other thing you're going to do for me is going to be this thing called the ACE claim practice. It's the pros and cons list, and we're going to get to that in the lesson. I'll show you guys how that works. I will also be posting an ACE writing organizer. This is not work. This is for you to have and have track of. You can print it off at home if you want to, or you can just refer back to this digital version of it. This is just me showing you how ACE sentences work, and I'll go over it again later, but just so when you see it, this is not work. Don't do this. It's just for you to have. So we'll go ahead and get started on this week's lesson. Oh, before that, grades are in. Some people have bad grades because you're not doing your work. Weird how that happens. Turn your work in. I've left comments on some of y'all's things. Most of you are doing something, but you're not doing all of it. You have to do all of it. I'm trying to give you feedback, but if you don't do everything, I'm just going to give you a poor grade. I'm sorry, that's how it works. On Friday, I will have a Google Meet at 11, and I'll also be reaching out to people, calling parents or emailing you, probably just calling your parents, and trying to figure out how I can help you and what you guys need. But other than that, we're going to get started with ACE paragraphs. We did this last year in 7th grade. At least we should have. Maybe it was called CRE last year, but it's the same thing. This is called ACE. And this is how we answer questions. This is how you guys are going to write persuasive essays this year. So this is really important. If I ever have you guys write anything in the future, pretty much I want it in this form. So what exactly is ACE? ACE is a writing strategy that helps us create a strong written response. It's just an easy, quick way to write. It's really what it is. When responding to a question, I need you to answer all parts of the question, cite your evidence or your example to that answer, and then explain how your evidence connects to the answer. And that's why we even call it ACE. Each part stands for something. So ACE stands for the answer. Give me an answer. Make it strong. It's got to be supported by evidence later. Use keywords from the question into your answer. Refer back to the question. An answer to a question is not just yes or no. It's got to be yes, this, no, this. Don't use I statements a lot. You can, but you have to be really careful with how you do it. C stands for cite your example or your evidence. Last week, we learned how to write good examples. This was why, because if you know how to write them, citing it is super simple. Use word for word text evidence if we're ever writing about something you've read. But if you're just giving an example, you can use your own examples. You can even tell a personal story. That's fine. But you have to be really careful. If you're quoting somebody or something, you need to use quotation marks to do that. And then you got to explain it. Explain your evidence. Explain how your evidence supports your answer. It always goes back to that answer to your claim or answer the question. What is your claim, right? You're not trying to explain your example because I don't understand it. You're trying to explain to me how your example supports what you're saying. And that's really, really important. Don't just repeat or paraphrase the evidence. Don't repeat yourself. Explain yourself. What is the connection there? So you guys are going to try it by looking at this. So look at this funny baby. This baby's covered in cake, obviously, right? So my question would be, how did the baby, I'll move myself a little bit. How did the baby get this messy? Just looking at the picture, you can tell it's because the baby's messy from eating cake with his hands. How do I know that? What evidence do we have, right? Well, I got cake on the table. There's cake on his face. There's cake in his hands. Looks like the baby got messy from eating cake. Is he even messing cake with his hands? According to the picture, there's a smashed cake and the baby has cake in his hands, right? All I did was write a formal sentence stating that there's cake in his hands. You can't just say, according to the picture, there's cake. That's not specific. But you can say that there's a smashed cake and that there's cake in his hands. That's way more detailed, way more specific, and makes me think you actually looked at the picture that you just looked at, right? To do this, you can use evidence starters. These are just some of them. I'm in that ACE document that I showed you. I'm giving you a ton of these, so you'll have that for you. Evidence isn't an option. You have to have it, but it can be fact, it can be a statement, it can be detail. It's anything that supports what you're saying. It's got to support you. If it doesn't support your claim, it's not good evidence. So we're going to practice it by skipping over that one. And what you'll do is, what I mean practice is, look at this sheet over here, right? This ACE organizer, I've given a bunch of questions up at the top, and I've answered each of them with a different sentence. And I did this for you guys, so you guys can just go ahead and know what a good example is, but we'll just do one. My top question is, what season is better, winter or summer? I answered by saying summer is a better season than winter. I answer the claim. My answer is yes, summer's better. I think summer is a better season. I said that, I know that because I literally said summer here, but also I'm answering the question, which was, which is a better season? And I've restated that. You got to put the question into your answer. You can't just say summer. Summer what? Summer is better than winter. That's kind of okay, but remember, I asked specifically which season is better. C is going to cite your evidence or example. For example, birds fly south for the winter. That's interesting. Birds fly south for the winter. That's pretty detailed. I know exactly what you're talking about. Birds, right? I know where they're going, and that happens in winter. But what I don't know necessarily is why or how that's relevant to my claim. I go on to prove it down here by saying this evidence proves that summer is better than winter because birds would rather avoid places in the winter and live in warm summer places. This simple sentence, which seems like an obvious thing that birds do, suddenly became needing a whole explanation. And I have to explain myself. I have to explain myself to support my reason and my claim. If I can't do that, you need a different reason. I give you more answers over here. This is just for you guys, again, to have. Over here on the side, I've given ways to start sentences, and I try to use different starters in all of these. So here's just my favorite. This is my favorite one. For example. Oh, I love for example. You can use it almost every time. If you're going to give me an example of something, just start your sentence by saying, for example. We'll go back to the lesson slides. Let me skip over some of these. So what do you do if you can't think of any reasons? Sometimes you have to think of reasons that might be hard to think of. Might be for a topic you don't know a lot about. Or sometimes I'm going to have you guys write from a perspective you don't necessarily agree with. To do that, you got to make pros and cons list, right? Pro literally means for, and con literally means against. Pro is just the reasons for something, and con is the reasons against it. So if I had pros and cons of should people own pets, I might say a pro of that is that it can teach responsibility and that pets can make people happy and bring joy. But a con might be that they're a lot of work and some people might be allergic. Those are all good reasons for not owning a pet, but I have to be able to use them. every time. There we go. So this is your next assignment. This is what I want you to do. And I'm going to post this. It's going to look blank right now, but that's because I'm literally going to work on it real quick. So to do this in this assignment, you're going to make some pros and cons, and you're going to answer the question. Your assignment is to answer the bottom part. I've done the top part, or at least I will have it done, as you're about to see. I want you to answer the bottom part using some of the stuff I have and add your own to it. Okay? So my question is, should all schools have uniforms? I need some pros and cons for it. One pro for having a uniform would be you don't have to worry about what to wear. If you know what you're going to wear every day, you don't have to worry about it, right? You know exactly what you're wearing every day. But a con might be that you have to wash your uniform every day, right? The con is every day I have to go home and wash my uniform so I can wear it again. Pretty simple reasons. If you guys want to, you can use my con or my pro or add your own. There's tons of them. But this is just a good way for me to see and visually see and verbalize what I'm thinking, right? So I have some pros and cons lists. I can come up with a ton. I'm only going to do the one for right now. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to go answer this question with the yes claim. My answer to the claim is this, ACE, right? What's my question is, should all schools have uniforms? I'm going to say yes. All schools should have uniforms. That's it. That's all you have to do. It's a simple yes statement. Yes or no. This one's yes. Yes, all schools should have uniforms. I got to go back and answer the question and refer to it. I can't just say yes. I got to say yes, what? Yes, all schools should have uniforms. My example, I'm going to go to my pros list. I said you don't have to worry about what to wear. I'm going to literally use one of those starters from this thing over here. I can go pick one of these. I'm going to say, for example, because that's my favorite. For example, students won't have to worry about what to wear to school every day. All I did was pretty much go and take my pro that I had already thought of and just put it into a full, complete sentence. And I use that starter right here, that transition. Now I got to explain it. Remember, explaining goes back to why does this apply to my answer? Not why does it, I'm not explaining the example. I'm explaining why does my example help my answer. Answer this, I could say pretty simply, and you can even go back and use a starter if you want. There's a ton of these. There's a lot more. These are not all of them. And you can really just kind of pick which one you want. I'm going to even not use necessarily one of those. I'm going to just kind of say, I'm going to change them and say, I'll say this is important because if students are spending, are spending less time worrying about their clothes, they can get ready faster in the morning for school. Pretty simple explanation, right? This is important because if students are spending less time worrying about their clothes, they can get ready faster in the morning for school. It supports my claim that yes, all schools should have uniforms. And I'm explaining why I even thought that, why they don't have to worry. What's important here was that if they're not worrying about their clothes, then they can get ready faster. I'm explaining my example and I'm saying why it supports my answer. So what I want you guys to do is go on here to number 2 and just reverse it. I want you guys to give me the claim of no. So answer with why. So you could answer with something about no, schools shouldn't have uniforms. Give me an example, and you can even use the con I gave you or come up with your own. And then I want you to explain it as best you can. Okay? This is the other thing I'm grading this week on top of your weekly writing. But really, guys, that's it for the week. If you need anything, you know how to get a hold of me. We're going to have a meeting on Friday at 11 o'clock. Join, ask me questions. Make sure you're doing all of your work. It's really important that you get all of it done and turned in. But if not, we'll have another conversation. But you guys have a good week. Please reach out. Miss you all, and I hope you guys are doing pretty well. Pretty okay. All right, guys. I'll see you later.